Financial literacy in our community is a big conversation being had now.
His dad didn't do any of that, right? He never seen him.
Being able to see that, I think makes you a great father. Hello, and welcome to Unapologetically Speaking, a podcast for bold, intentional, unapologetic leaders. I am joined here today with a very special guest. Before we get started, please make sure you like, share, comment, and hit the subscribe button down below. Help us out. Today, we are doing promotion for the Wealthy Women Gala that is on December 13th, and I am privileged to be sitting here with one of the panelists, Mr. Lamar Johnson Jr. Thank you for joining me today.
No problem. Thank you for having me.
Of course. So Lamar is one of the co-founders of Dear Fathers. So let's start there. Please tell me about Dear Fathers.
So, again, like I said, thanks for having me. But Dear Fathers is a media platform for Black fatherhood where we tell stories and share stories of Black fatherhood from all angles, right? Co-parenting as a dad or biological dad, stepdad, all of these angles, we tell and share these stories. And we provide resources for Black men and Black fathers. We do a lot of other things, but that's why we started, and that's what we stand for. That's the basis.
So that platform has grown substantially. I mean, it's a, what is it, like 400,000 followers or?
Yeah, it's almost at 500. So
wow,
it's getting there.
That's important work. I think that our society really focuses on mothers, single mothers, motherhood, how hard all of those things are, but not a lot of emphasis is put on fatherhood and the role that you guys play in children's lives, right? And especially Black fathers. Yeah. So what made you guys start that? Is that the reason why there's just not a lot of focus on that?
Yeah, I think, the beginning is that we started it because me and my co-founder, we both grew up without like real relationships with our dads. And so I tell this all the time where we had this running joke, and it was like, if we couldn't do something that technically is something that men should be able to do, like changing a tire, we would just have this running joke like, oh, that's because I didn't have a dad, and just like laugh it off. And, that was the thing. And so we, eventually once we got to like our late 20s, early 30s, we were like, what could we do to kind of help the kids growing up like we did? Because we didn't have anybody to ask these questions to, because we didn't have a male figure or a dad in the house. So we were going to start a forum. And then once we started to do our research on fatherhood platforms and other things that because we didn't want to clash or like run into or kind of be doing the same thing that somebody was already doing.
Right.
So we researched, we didn't see anything. And then to your point, it was, there's a need here. So let's create this forum where the kids could text a number and we would be able to have a group of dads who would be able to respond on demand to be able to help out like a day-to-day dad. Long story short, we started our social media and we were posting photos of dads and their kids, and it just took off. And so we never got back to the forum portion, but we built it. We built onto that. And like I said, I think the whole point was that we saw that there was a need just because of how many followers were coming in for what we were posting and what we were talking about. We were like, yeah, this is needed. And so while we've been doing the work for the past 6 years, we have realized that a lot of the resources for parents are for mothers, single mothers. But I don't think that when it comes to fatherhood, I don't think that it's about whether it's a Black or another other dad, but it's just more so men in general. There are not a lot of resources for men as fathers, and so it's kind of like we see society. It's a lot of money for kids, a lot of money because we do have our nonprofit, so there's a lot of funding for kids and for mothers, and so we're just trying to do what we can. And like the way that we know how it's still new to us. We still like,
Yeah.
we really don't really know what we're doing, but we're figuring it out on the way.
And, I think that by osmosis, people are drawn to you guys and to what you're doing because, again, like I said, it's just important work and there's just not enough emphasis being placed on it. And it's crazy for me because I, until recently, like I didn't know a whole lot of single dads. And lately I've been meeting a lot of single dads and, men who are raised in there. I was just at the barbershop and my son was like, my mom has a podcast, like just like talking randomly. And so we started talking about it and he was like, yeah, I'm a single father, raising these kids and he's a girl dad.
Yeah.
So a single dad raising girls too.
Yeah.
And it's just this strange dynamic that's been happening lately. But so that's dope. My first encounter with you or meeting you was when you were at the Entrepreneur Experience event and you were on the Fatherpreneur panel talking about fatherhood and men's mental health because that is the other thing that just there's just not a whole lot of support and information out there. So you said you didn't grow up with a dad. How do you think that has influenced you, as a father and just in this role that you're playing now?
Yeah, I for sure. I mean, growing up without my dad around, so like I knew my dad. It's not like I never met him or didn't see him, but I just didn't have any real relationship. He never taught me anything. Like, if I would go over to his house, like on the weekends or so, I would just kind of like play with other kids outside, but I was never spending time with him. And I just go back to my mom's house. So it was that. But I will just say the impact of that is now being a dad, I don't really, when I think about it, I'm like, what am I supposed to do? I don't know what I'm supposed to do in any situation as a dad. So for example, what does it look like to be a dad and like wake up and, like just be a dad. So like you may say, hey, come here, let me show you how to cut the grass or let me show you these things. And so it's just like brand new for me. So when I'm just, when it comes to giving advice to my children, I don't really know how to start the conversation. I don't really know what that looks like because I just feel like it would be a natural thing if like I went through it with my dad, then it would be like, okay, like I know what to do in these situations when, your grades are dropping or you're starting a date or, you're just acting out. And so I don't know what to do in those situations, but I kind of date back to just thinking about what made me think I was ready to be a dad. And I always said I wanted to be a dad. And I was like, why? Like, and I was 23 when I first had my daughter. And I was thinking, I'm like, okay, I remember when people would ask, like when you're growing up and you start dating like 18 or 6, whatever it is, they're like, you want kids? For whatever reason we ask this question at 16, right? I'm like, yeah, I want kids. And so now that I think about it, I'm like, I remember thinking about what was the image or like, what did I get my fatherhood view from? And it was from TV, like Fresh Prince or Family Matters, right? And I remember thinking back saying, well, I'll watch an episode. It was just like 30-minute episode. And from the start to the end, there may be an issue where Eddie Winslow is skipping school and I can't remember the dad's name, but he talks to him. And by the end of the show, they get it figured out. It's a 20-minute show with commercials. It's like, I'm like, hey, I could do that.
That Carl Winslow.
Carl Winslow. Yeah. So I'm like, oh, I could do that. I could do that. I mean, that's all I had. That was the imagery, right? Not really thinking about the fact that these are actors and it's going to be way longer than 20 minutes, before the issue is resolved. So
it's funny that you say that because I feel like for many of us who grew up without our father, like I knew my father. My father was a great man. He just, he had his struggles and his own issues. And he didn't spend a lot of time in my life in the way that he should have. But I feel that's funny that you say that because I feel like a lot of us grew up in the same way. Like the images that we saw on TV, right? And I want you to know, though, if there's any consolation whatsoever, that even with a full-time dad in your life, having your own kids is a whole different struggle,
Yeah.
we still don't have the answers. Like there is
Yeah.
no guidebook, and if there is anybody out there, if there is one, like I still need it. Like my kids are grown, and I still want the guidebook. There is no guidebook. I mean, these kids are crazy, so it's just
That's
these
a good
questions
point,
that
though.
come up. Yeah,
Because I have a younger brother who lives with my dad, and we didn't really have a real relationship either. He's like 10 years younger than me, but in the last like 5 or 6 years, I've been building with him and just getting to know him and just kind of. Again, that's my sibling, so it's like I felt the need to have to
absolutely
take responsibility, and because I could, and we're adults now, I have to depend on my dad to
bridge that gap. Yeah.
So what I learned with that is that my dad is basically the same person, whether I lived with him or not. He's like, he's never really showed me any, and I'm like, whoa. So this whole time I was thinking like,
you missed out on
if I was
something.
my dad, I would probably have this, right? I would know how to save money better and all these things, right? And he's just like, no, that's no. And so I'm like, okay, well, so to your point, like, yeah, just even having a full-time dad or having him around, some are just coming in and they don't know. And I know my dad didn't know because he didn't have his dad at all. And so it's almost a traditional thing. I know a lot of dads, and I don't really know what the number is, percentage, but it's always it was like the man comes home, he would give the check to the wife, and he sit down, he watch TV for the rest of the evening, go back to work. It's just repeat. And so that's kind of his mentality even to this day. He goes to work, comes home, go to work, come home, and that's it. Just provide for the family financially, and if you need that father figure, somebody to be stern, hey, I'm gonna tell your dad or go talk to them. And that was his place, and that's kind of what I see. Now that I'm older, I can kind of see that's what type of dad he is, and it's like a traditional sense. I think the movie was, it was Fences, but you remember with Denzel? But he was still like instilling and giving life lessons as a dad.
Right.
But I think that traditional thing was, hey, I give my check to my wife, I think he told one of his sons in one thing, he said, I don't have to like you. I just have to love you, and I show my love by providing for you. But anyway, I say all that to say that I think just a little further back, I'm not sure what year that was shot in, but that was kind of like the mentality for a lot of men, where I'm going to go to work and I don't want to be bothered. I just.
Do you think that because that is like an example that you've seen, that you kind of carry forth that mentality in certain ways as a father?
Like that traditional one?
Yes.
No, not at all.
Yeah.
I think for sure with me, I mean, I'm not as involved because I do travel a lot for work. But I mean, I think the things that I think about, like, oh, I missed out on these things, or I want to make sure that I'm doing these little things with my kids, where it's like little arts and crafts, or, playing outside, or building some things, or things that I'm like, oh, I wish I would have done these things with my dad, right? So I don't want to just feel like the financial provider. I feel like for me, I feel like I have a special skill set where it's I'm calming and I can talk to my kids and like kind of build with them, and they can come to me for advice. I don't know if they feel that way yet, but I do want to keep this communication with them where they know they can talk to me about things, and it's not just, hey, I need money for my hair and I have a dance coming up, and
Well, you have
cookies.
girls. Like, how old are your girls?
14 and 7.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so we just entered high school this year, and
yeah.
and my oldest, she never really asked for anything, and this year is already they got a field trip to Disney. Homecoming came up, they needed, so I'm like, whoa, like, okay, this is different. So
you get ready.
Yeah,
it's just starting. She's a freshman.
Yeah, she's a freshman, and I'm excited because I want her to always know, like, she can count on me, because my oldest lives in Georgia. So, like, she never really asked for anything growing up. But, if that becomes a thing where she knows for sure, regardless, my dad's going to make sure
Dad's going to show up.
Yeah, I have what I need, and that's fine too. But it's an interesting dynamic now because she's asking for shoes and now she's starting to get her nails done and her hair and as much as I'm like, oh, I don't want her to be like this, I'm like, I feel like we can bond over it. Because, I mean, I love shoes myself. I like to get my hair cut often. Right? I even go and get my nails, fixed up. So my feet.
That's
so
important.
It's not I don't think it's like, oh, this is crazy that you're asking for these things. Yeah.
Wow, that's dope. It's hard to build. I think it's hard to build a relationship with kids these days because there's just so many other influences. And I tell people all the time, like I definitely fortunate. My husband is, we both work really hard. We're both always super busy, but he's the type to come home and he'll wash the dishes. He'll, cook. He'll be with the kids. Oh, we got a school project. It's like it's never there's never like a no when it comes to our boys. And what I found too is like our oldest son. He's a father, and he is a very present, very like, and it's like because that's what he saw.
Right.
So that's why I asked the question because, sometimes what we see is what we mimic, whether we intend to or not, so it's good to hear that you are breaking that cycle.
Yeah.
This is what I saw. So I think it can go either way, right? Either this is what I saw, so this is what I do, or this is what I saw, so I don't ever want my children to, to be exposed to that. So it's kind of how I parent too.
I think though with that, it's the same for everything, right? It's not just in parenting, but I mean, in my neighborhood, none of my friends, their dad lived with them. None of my cousins, nobody's dad at this time in the 90s, nobody's growing up with their dad in their household.
That's crazy. So crazy.
So I never even questioned it, honestly. I never thought about it until I was in college, and that's when me and my friend would start to make this joke. But I say that to say, like, even like for marriage, right? So if you don't see it, you never seen how it's done. I never seen a man loving my mom, and I never seen any of maybe one of my aunts were married, but I never seen like affection, like on that level, right? I never seen, again, I don't really know what a family dynamic looks like, as a full family, mom, dad, married, kind of doing this thing. A lot of single moms just doing their thing. I seen that. So my appreciation for single moms and Black women is super high. But when I think about it, say I am married, and I think of all the things I just don't know. And I think that if I would have just seen some, I at least have some tools just from just seeing it visually. And not knowing it's not like I'm taking notes, right? But I would have at least like took in some of the things.
Right.
And so I struggle with that just when I think back on it. And I tell my wife, I'm like, well, I'm just trying to figure it out too. Right? I'm just learning this. And she grew up with both her parents married. So she has a little more solid foundation of what a marriage should look like.
And expectations.
Exactly. So it's new to me. And like I said, it's not just parenting, it's not just marriage, it's all things. Like, it's learned behavior from just seeing.
And I think that the same still applies even with that. Even when you grow up with that, you still have to decide what it's going to look like for you and learn those things. I had to, my husband and I have been together for 26 years. So we've basically grown up together and grown into this space together. And so a lot of missteps, a lot of mistakes, a lot of, not listening, a lot of not being heard, a lot of, so again, like those things just even in the best of situations, like it is what it is. Like marriage is just hard, period. And we live in a world and a society that just does not honor it at all. Does not care about it. And so, it's a struggle. But I was, just kind of going back to like parents, because, I have learned growing up that like how to give my mother grace. Like my father passed away, unfortunately, in 2019. And I think it was that happening that really was like, I need to give my mom more grace, because people can only give you what they have, right? So like your father was probably doing the best with what he had and what he knew. And so many fathers aren't around. They're not providing, right? So it's like,
Yeah.
You clothed, you
Yeah.
fed,
Yeah.
you got, you got the basic essentials, you got what you need, right? So maybe I didn't teach you how to change a tire,
Yeah.
but
No, yeah. And I will say, because like our generation, like I feel like we we have so much access, and then so much information. So then it was almost common to like hate your dad, right? If he wasn't around.
or parents in general.
Right. I mean, there was no way I could hate my mom based off of what I, saw her doing. But I would just say this, like it was kind of the ongoing thing. Rappers talk about, whatever, athletes, I don't know my dad is, whatever. I don't want to meet him. And so all these things. And but I eventually, when at some point I started to do that, where I'm like, okay, it kind of makes sense. He didn't have a dad, right? His dad, so there was no presence at all, right? So him, like once a month, he would send me like $60, like a money order in the mail. So obviously it's the '90s, so it kind of makes
Right.
sense.
That's how you did that back then.
His dad didn't do any of that, right? He never seen him, and he did have a house that I can come to at least, right? Yeah, him not sitting me down and teaching me how to use the restroom like a man, or all these things. Yeah, those are the things that I may have missed out on if we were together on the day to day, or if he was just a different type of dad. But to your point, yeah, like you have to look at it and say, well, he was probably thinking, hey, I'm doing better than what my dad did for me, and that's when it started to click for me, because I had a little bit of resentment for my mom at one point, because I'm like, well, why didn't she teach me how to save money, since she
Yeah.
was the parent? Why didn't she teach me these things? And back to your point, it's like, well, you can only teach what you know. If you don't know it, nobody taught you or showed you. How could And I started to think, I'm like, I don't want. At some point, my kids are gonna get old and say, well, Dad, you didn't teach me about crypto, right? Why didn't you? Well, then they've kind of fell away. So I gave the grace to my mom and my dad, and it's better to be in that space, because then you start to look and see, like, they just trying to figure it out, just like I'm trying to figure it out now. So it's easier for me to have compassion. I'm like, oh yeah, so I can only imagine what they were going through without any social media or internet at this point, right? So
Yeah, one thing my mom always said, just was like her favorite saying, like, just keep on living. Just keep on living. We'd be like, just keep on living. Like, just keep on. But now I look at my kids and I'm like, just keep on living.
mm-hmm.
Just keep on living, because life is going to show you things like this, or you're going to become a parent yourself. Like my oldest is a parent. So it's like certain things that I say and he's like, oh man, Mom, like I know, and I'm like, yeah, it's coming. It's coming. We all learning. We all one thing that I just thought of, like one of the things my dad said to me is, I was having a moment with him shortly before he passed away, and I was telling him like all of these things that I felt wronged by, right? Like, just like, you didn't do this and you didn't do that, and you didn't walk me down the aisle, and you this and that, and I'm hurt by these things. And it felt good to kind of finally get these things out, even though we were like not face to face, we're on the phone. Right. And he says in the phone, like, not in response to anything I said, but, well, look at your life. Looks like you turned out okay to me. And, and it was, for me, it was that moment, like, okay, he doesn't get it, and I'm okay with that. And he's not going to get it, because again, he's operating from his own space of understanding and giving me what he had. Like, I think it was that moment that I was like, okay, like, this is okay. You got it out. You know what I mean? It's done. You know what I'm saying? Move on.
No, that's good though, because I was actually having this conversation, I think maybe earlier today, where I'm thinking about that. My dad, he, obviously my family, so I may hear from my aunts or my other uncles or whatever, and I hear about how like he's technically like bragging on me, right, for the things that I've done just over the years, where we may not even talk about it, right? I'm in the newspaper, I'm on TV, I'm doing these things, and he doesn't necessarily call me and say, oh, I heard about this, or congratulations. No, he never does that. And I never expected it from him, right? Because again, we don't have that type of relationship. But when I do talk to other family members, they're like, "Yeah, your dad told me you were doing this." And
He's watching.
He had the newspaper. He brought it over, right? And my grandma saying, "Your dad brought the newspaper over," and I'm just like, "Okay." So in his mind, he turned out good, right? He turned out good, And
I done good.
Yeah, and then I want to talk to him, and I still haven't. And we've been doing this for 6 years, and so it's been on my mind. But I want to have that conversation where I don't know if I'm ready. Really, I mean, it'll be emotional because I've built up. First off, I've forgiven him, even though he hasn't apologized for anything.
Oh, you have to, yeah.
But I've forgiven him, and so I think to have that conversation would almost open a wound that I was just kind of covered, and it was just whatever.
For me, I had to get over this idea that emotion meant confrontation, right? So it's when you don't want to have a conversation with someone because you think it's going to be confrontational, that'll stop it right there, right? Or I found that I was afraid of the response or answer I was going to get, and if that was going to trigger me, right? Yeah. But the thing about for like you said, you've already forgiven him. So the thing about that is you just go into it knowing that no matter how he responds, this is more so about you getting it off, right, and you being able to say these things to him out loud, than it is about how he responds. So, at some point as adults, we have to learn how to stop expecting people to give us more than what they've already shown us they can give us, right? So you probably already know how he's going to respond.
That's what I'm saying.
And that he's not going to hear it,
right,
or be able to dissect what you're saying. Right. But I think if you attach yourself more to being able to just say those things.
Yeah, it sounds like, from based off of what your father said to you, I think that would be the same response.
What you mad for?
Nothing's wrong with you. You're not in prison. You have a degree.
And you know what's so funny about that? It's with my sons, and when we hear about, and me and my husband struggle with this, when they complain about certain things, it's look at your life, dude. Right. What do you have to be mad at? And we collectively sit back that's not a fair response. Let's listen to him. Let's hear him out. You know what I mean?
For sure.
Obviously what we see and what we know is truth is not his truth. So we have to kind of, right. But it's hard even for us. I felt like been present. We, everything you need, wanted, thought you needed, you had. What do you have to be complaining about?
But it's perspective.
It's always something.
Yeah, it's always perspective. And we don't know when they out in the world, what are they seeing? And they're comparing themselves to, and what does it look like through their lens,
which influences all of it.
Yeah,
and influences how they see you.
Exactly.
Even
because I tell people, like I said, people hey, you're doing a really good job as a dad. You're this, and I'm just you don't even know me. You don't know me. The only genuine, real response that who says that is from my kids. If they say that, and not even right now, I say once they're about 25, that's when I'll say. And they say, "Hey, Dad, I really appreciate it," because then they've lived some and they've been able to see what other dads gave or didn't give and say, "Oh, yeah, my dad did this," or he did it. And then if they come back and say, "Dad, you did a really good job. I appreciate these things," I'll say, "Okay, yeah." That's when my grade will come. But until then, I feel as of now, yes, if I'm buying ice cream and take you to the movies, of course you're going to say you're the best dad ever. Right. And I don't feel I'm not saying I don't believe that they feel that way or that I'm doing my best. Right. So I believe that, but the people around me saying it I appreciate it and it does keep me going. But I think ultimately the decision will be how your
kids
feel.
view you.
Yeah.
Maybe that stems from you needing to give yourself a little more grace though, too, because and I say this because, just recognizing that there is a need for father figures, dear fathers, an outreach program of sorts for kids to be able to say, okay, I don't have this and I need to have a conversation with someone. Just being able to see that, I think makes you a great father. and I don't know you.
I appreciate.
But
Yeah, I
yeah,
appreciate it.
but
And
I just think that a lot of people, we're struggling. I'm struggling as a parent. I mean, I feel like I am, and everybody around me, like you said, it's like, oh man, you guys are great parents and you're doing this and you're that.
Yeah.
But they don't know the struggles that
Right.
we are dealing with. They don't know, like, the questions that we ask ourselves,
Right.
or, as parents, and did I do this right? Did I do that right? Oh man, I should have done this. We should have read more, or I should have
Yeah.
discipline, or just whatever you should have done more of. Like, there's always going to be that. But I just feel like most people, because of that, don't look outside of their own front yard. Right. So for you and your partner to do that, to even just to say, I didn't have this and I want to make sure kids have this, I think already sets you up there.
I appreciate that.
So.
And some people have said that, because I share the same thing, where I do appreciate the comments and the compliments. But I just be like, okay, you just see me online and you see what I'm doing. But their point is, because technically I'm doing the work. I never set out to build this for myself, but I've gained so much from it. I learned so much on how to be a dad. And obviously it's so many tips and tricks and advice that people are giving. We've worked with like over thousands of Black men and fathers, and we hear their stories, we hear their testimonies, all these things, and I take from it and I learn and I leave what I don't need. And so ultimately, I'm learning, I'm gaining it, and I'm giving this to my kids on how, how I think, or what I think will work. And so I think, like, I'm doing the work and people see that probably. Like, because I could not be doing it. And then people could just see me taking pictures and posting pictures and say, hey, you're a good dad. But I think that because of what I'm doing, that's probably how people see it. Like, hey, at least you're trying to be a better dad. Even if you're not, it looks like you're trying,
Right.
So I am, like I said, I do appreciate it when people say it, because I am trying. I do try, and I think about it a lot. But it's just going to be the biggest test, because at the end of the day, if they say, Dad, my friend's dad, I'm going to be so hurt. And be like, oh, what was I doing wrong? Right?
It sucks.
Yeah.
Again, like I said, you could do everything that you know to do. You can do everything right. And, there will be that moment where your kids wake up one day and just decide that none of it mattered.
Yeah.
It happens.
Okay. Yeah.
It does happen. It's heartbreaking.
What do you do though?
You just keep going.
Gotta read, like, you gotta pump, because again, it's all about, we're doing our best, in a sense, right? We're doing what we know, and so we can only do that, right?
Yeah.
So because I always say this, so people, because this was what made me look at my parents differently. I thought about the fact that, because I was on my mom, I'm like, why did she teach me these things? And I said, well, if you ask any person and they say my parents didn't do this, you say, well, do you think that if they knew something that they could give you that would help you in life, like your parent, they would have just been like, no, I'm not going to teach them that.
Yeah.
Right? It don't even make sense. And so when I started to tell myself that, I'm like, okay, well, you can't be too hard, because I'm sure, like, if I talked to my mom about money at some point, she was just giving me the advice that she knew, like, that the only thing that she had, right?
She was a single mom, so she probably didn't have the ability to save a bunch of money, or to teach you about savings when she wasn't able to do it
for
herself.
Sure.
Yeah.
And it's that, and honestly, I don't think, I didn't grow up rough. It wasn't hard, like, financially. We had a lot of things, but the thing was, it was financial, like, literacy and discipline. That looking back on it, I see, because she always made sure we had everything.
Right.
But I think about her now, and I'm like, Mom, well, why aren't you set up? Oh, yeah, well, I see. I know we had everything. We had more than we needed. And that was the problem, especially when you're doing it by yourself.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And nobody told her.
Yeah.
Nobody told her you need to be saving in 401k and you need to be investing. But again, you don't have it as much access as we do now.
I was going to say, financial literacy in our community is a big conversation being had now, because I think there's just this overall recognition that we just didn't get those
Yep.
skill sets and those tools, and our parents didn't have them to pass on, right?
Yep,
so
exactly.
it's a big conversation being had, and going into like the Wealthy Women Gala. I know a lot of the things that they do is along those lines. It's just trying to get our community to take these things seriously and to really start investing in yourselves, and just really just the knowledge, just gaining the knowledge of how to, how to set yourself and your families up better, right?
Yeah, I love that. I mean, that's why I want to be a part of it, because having the conversation, and I don't know who I can reach, by just hearing it from me, like my perspective and what I've lived, could help somebody. But I mean, I'm heavily invested in bettering my future, and so for me, like, I think everybody should be talking about it and having a conversation about financial literacy. And so, yeah, like I said, when the opportunity came, I'm like, yeah, I'm down. Whatever I can do. I mean, I'm not the richest, it's not that. But if I can help and be a part, let's do it. So, yeah.
That's dope. Yes, they haven't. I know they're still pushing information out about the gala, but I know one of the objectives is really to engage our community in that conversation. So, as a panelist, what would be your advice to, an entrepreneur or a young father or just someone looking to attend the event and, take home some golden nuggets from you?
Well, I mean, just showing up first and foremost. I think these type of spaces, like you said, the conversation it's more popular now than ever. So just showing up is going to be like the first step, because when you get in a room and you kind of hear people kind of going through the same things that you go through, it's going to be easier to kind of like digest it. Because I mean, you see online, you see all these clips, oh, you can do these things. When you get in a room and you start to feel the energy, and no one's like, everybody's there to learn, and you don't feel so left out. Like, they're trying to ask these questions, they're giving these gems. So by showing up, you could just kind of prove to yourself that I want to be like better in this for myself. But I think just coming out is going to show a lot. But I think when you do come, taking notes is great. But for me, I'm not the best at taking notes and listening. So I know some people, that's their thing. But for me personally, I'll kind of like have a record on my phone, and so I can listen to it back and then kind of do notes. But that would just be my suggestion, is just like lock in, and then when it's time to ask questions. Don't be afraid, because I mean, nobody has all the answers, and so no questions are dumb questions, especially because we all starting at different places. So if you can come and get a question asked, and then I think the community for the women, and if you're a woman, it's a great opportunity to just be involved in something that's like blooming and like growing in the Bay Area. And I'm not sure the direction they're going in, if it's going to be national, but I think it's so dope to see them just like celebrating. And it's not just like, oh, we're having fun and just having a good time.
There's education. There's purpose. It's purposeful. Yeah.
So that's why I really support what they're doing. And if you can it's a lot of entertainment and fun going on. And so if you can get both, right? If you can have fun with people like-minded and look like you, and learn and prepare yourself for your future, I think that's just the dopest community to be a part of. So yeah, I support what's going on with that.
Well, you heard it. You just got to show up. The Wealthy Women Gala is on December 13th. So you just got to be there in the building, get your tickets. I'm going to have all the links and everything down below. But before we go, I respect your time and I appreciate you being here. I do want to talk about your event on December 14th, which is the following day. Yep. Tell us about what's going on.
So December 14th in Oakland, we'll have Holidays with Dads. It's our annual, I guess it's our celebration for dads. And we started it, I think it's the fourth or the fifth annual. No, it's the fourth. And so what happens is we come out, the dads are invited out, and we do like ornament decorating, Christmas, ornaments, stockings, cookies, coloring contests. We have games, prizes, and we have gifts. We have bikes and toys for the kids. So when they RSVP, you can choose a gift, whether it's a bike or a toy, and we have food, bounce houses. We're going to be doing a lot. So we do this, and the whole point is to create these core memories for the dads and their children. The children are gonna. What I notice is when I see these kids' faces, they get their bikes and they're like doing these things. A lot of times, dad don't take the time out to just, let's go and let's do a gingerbread cookie house or something. Right. Just, and I'm not saying because they don't want to. It's just you're not thinking about these things in real time, and life is going so fast with work and everything else. Just kind of set that time aside, and that's what we're doing is set up for all the dads. And so it's just dope to see the dads interacting with their kids. And I think I told you, like, it's for the dads. Moms will always show up, and that's perfectly fine. And they're most of the time doing the ones doing the RSVP, so fine with me. But it's a good time, and then the kids really enjoy it, and we're growing. I leave it at 50 because I want it to be intimate, so it's about 50 dads, and sometimes dads have 3 or 4 kids, so the number could go crazy.
Now that's dope. Now who funds that? You guys take donations for that? Yeah. How can people support?
Yeah, so we on our website you can donate to Fearless Fathers, which is our nonprofit.
Okay.
But yeah, just grants and donations is how we get it done. So it's tough, but it's my favorite event. Like we do a lot like throughout the nation with Dear Fathers, but this is the one that's near and dear to me, because I know even if the kids and their dad show up one year, that this is going to be something that they remember, and so that's why it's my favorite. But yep, donations at dearfathers.com, and I think it starts at 1, so it's 1 to 5 on December 14th.
Dope. Mm-hmm. Okay, so dearfathers.com. Yep. That's how people can find you. Mm-hmm. Anyone looking to connect with you, how should they do that? Yeah, so my Instagram is Lamar Johnson Jr. At Lamar Johnson Jr. and email, whatever, you can just DM me there. Dear Fathers, so it's dear.fathers on Instagram. But yeah, that's pretty. If you really want to get in touch with me, you can DM. I'm always gonna respond. Okay, if it's major, hit him on his page. Yep, okay, well, too. Thank you so much for coming. It's been a pleasure talking to you. Sure. Dear.fathers on Instagram, Lamar Johnson Jr. on Instagram. This is definitely a worthy cause, definitely something that I know a lot of people is near and dear to them, and supporting you guys because you guys are doing great work. Thank you. I appreciate you having me. Thank you. Great. Of course. Thanks.